Simonics, welcome back to a new tutorial, which is today a bit different because we will simply talk about the 15 best Angular component library packages that I have used or that I know about. So this list is of course not a complete overview about the landscape of these great components, and also the order is not really how great they are. It's just my personal choice of tools. So here we go. Number one for me is Angular Material, because I wanted to start with the bigger packages, and Angular Material is more like a complete package that involves a lot of different things. For example, if you look at the components, you already see you got these form controls, you got navigation elements, you got layout elements, especially things like a stepper, so things that you usually don't really have in other libraries. With Ionic, you already have some sort of material design for Android anyway, but if you're working on a web version of your application, or if you in general prefer the material design, then I would give Angular Material a try. Besides the regular controls, there are also other things inside the component dev kit, which you could check out. I have written about parts of this, especially the drag and drop, but we will get to this later again as well. So, Angular Material, a great choice for your UI. If you are more into Bootstrap, then number 2 would be for you. I'm not sure which is the best package. There is actually NG Bootstrap and there's also NGX Bootstrap. From the GitHub stars, I would say that NG Bootstrap is a bit ahead, but I really can't see the difference between them. So with this package, either of them I guess, you get access to Bootstrap elements, which are great in itself. So I've used Bootstrap for a lot of web applications in the past, and perhaps we're also able to check out a demo of this. So there are native element and widgets, and if you've used Bootstrap in the past, you know that this is just Bootstrap, right? It's a simple UI. You can't really go wrong with anything related to Bootstrap. I'm not sure if they implement also the rows and columns stuff, but I guess. So anyway, as well, NG Bootstrap, a great example for UI library. There are more UI things like Prime NG, I think. I haven't used any other of them. I have used NG Bootstrap and I've used Angular Material in the past, and for both I can say that they're really great choices. If you plan to do a website. With Ionic, again, you usually already have styling out of the box, so you don't have to use them, but if you enjoy certain parts of their components, they are definitely a great choice as well. So NGX Bootstrap or NG Bootstrap, whatever you want to use. Now let me close them so I can figure out where we are. Number 3 on the list of packages is a chart library. There are actually, I think, a ton of chart libraries. There's 3D, there's Chart.js, and there are many more great alternatives. I just picked out 2 of them. So NG2 Charts is definitely a great wrapper around the, I think it's actually around Chart.js. Yeah, you have to install Chart.js as well. If you look at the samples, you will immediately see, is there, yeah, here are the samples. So there's definitely everything included in either of these packages. This is using Chart.js, and if you check out NGX Charts by Swimlane, you will see that they also have some great demos. They are not only a wrapper around the 3, they are a bit more. So I've said this in the past as well. Just give these packages a try and figure out which chart package is the best for you. They all look pretty great. The configuration for all of them is a bit tricky. You have to get into how you structure the data, but then they are really great packages for charts with Angular. Number 4 on the list is one of my favorite libraries. It just had to be in this list. It is Angular Fire. Angular Fire is the wrapper around the Firebase database or platform. Let's call it platform, I think. And with Angular Fire, you can basically use Firebase in a more Angular friendly way. So you get the observables, but you also got a lot of other things that are perhaps a bit more tricky if you just use the Fire-based JavaScript SDK like Authentication. Just recently Angular Fire introduced an Authentication guard. The upload to the storage is pretty easy, and you just see from this list there's really everything included. So if you plan to use Firebase in one of your projects, doesn't matter Angular, Ionic, I would definitely use Angular Fire as the wrapper in my project to get started. Number 5 on the list is a package for JSON Web Token authentication. I basically always use this package when I work with some kind of authentication. What's wrong with my eye? Because it is a quite simple package to install. It works great with Ionic as well. So they already have some example on their page for Ionic 2+ on how to use Ionic storage with their package to get and retrieve the JSON Web Token stored. They got some nice helper functions like is the token expired or get token expire date and decode token. So really just the basic functionalities that you need if you're working with JSON Web Token authentication, then just go for the Angular 2 JSON Web Token package. Then we got number 6, which is actually more like a tiny tool, I would say, but it can still make a big difference. I've used this in the past. It's called NGX Loading Bar, and it is basically something to automatically display a loading indicator. You already see it. No, I guess that's from StackBlitz, but there we got it. Can we do this? I don't know how to make this slower, but you can give it a try on this page, and you see you can include these nice loading bars in your application. And as far as I know, you can also use Angular material. Okay, cool. As far as I know, you can also include this automatically whenever you make an HTTP request. So that comes in really handy. They got some core packages that you need to install, and then also you can use these additional plugins to display when you route or when you make HTTP calls. The setup isn't too hard. So I would definitely recommend if you need some sort of loading indicator and don't want to use the standard from either Angular Material or the Ionic loading spinner, then this really tiny NGX loading bar is great and works great in a lot of cases. Okay, moving on to number 7 on the list, which is a tool to translate or localize your applications. This is just like really the standard that basically everyone is using. Also, the header already says the Annihilation library for Angular. I've used this in the past. It's really easy to set up. You just have to configure your strings. So if you already have a quite complex application, it might require some time. If you know your application will need this feature, I would recommend you get started with this package in the beginning. You can switch the languages on the fly, you can instantly translate, you can use pipes. This package really brings everything to the table that you need to localize your applications for multiple languages. Another tool that kind of falls into this category as well is called NGX Pipes. This is not a specific pipe, but a package that contains really a lot of useful pipes. I don't know how many, but I can scroll this list and it's quite long. There are already some Angular pipes out of the box, but these pipes or the pipes included in NGX Pipes are really just great for building more complex applications. The only thing is I have used this a few times, but you really have to get into the flow of using this tool. So if you just use it, install it, think it's great, and never really use it, it's not really helpful. You have to dig through this at least a few times to see what is possible with this, because I don't know about each and every functionality of NGX Pipes all the time. So it is really something to use many times and get into it. I think then over time it becomes actually a lot more valuable. Once you notice that you do certain parts of your application in code that could actually be handled by this simple pipes package. A lot of examples, maybe just give it a read once or twice and try to remember a few of them or get started to use a few of them. I think then it can be really helpful. Package number 9, of course, we need to talk about calendars. Calendars are very popular. There's a full calendar, I think that's with jQuery. There's also something from PrimeNG, I think. A lot of calendar packages, but for me, the Angular calendar package number 1 is still Angular Calendar. If you check out the demo page, you will really see that this is a powerful calendar that brings most of the things to the table that you need. There are also draggable events. I don't know how to drag this. Oh, cool. Draggable events. The demo for this is really great. You can also somewhere change the view. So you can have this great view, or you can just have a day view. You can edit it. This is really my go-to calendar package, I would say. If you have very specific requirements, in the past I've seen people ask a lot of things about calendars, then you just might have to create your very own calendar, which is definitely possible as well. But in a lot of cases, the Angular calendar will have everything that you need to build a great calendar for your apps. Number 10, package number 10 is drag and drop. I already said in the beginning, once you go to Angular Material, the component dev kit, there's also a drag and drop API, so you can drag this stuff. And I've used this also in one of my posts in the past. If you don't want to use Angular Material, the other great package in that domain is called Dragola. Dragola is actually a standard JavaScript library, I would say. So drag and drop, so simple it hurts. But the ng2 Dragola package is the wrapper for Angular. If you check out the demos, you will see that this is really a great package to use. It really brings everything that you need for drag and drop to the table normally. I've used this as well in the past. They made a recent major version shift as far as I know. So version 2 has been released, follow the migration guide. If you've used this in the past, make sure that you check out the latest version. Dragola is really a great choice for drag and drop if you don't want to use Angular Material. I'm actually not sure which of these two would be easier to implement. I think I would just go with Dragola if I don't need the rest of the Angular Material stuff. Package number 11 is about presenting more data. Where is it? There we go. NGX data table. On this topic, I also had a post in the past on the Ionic Academy where we've built this table. You can also check it out. A lot of stars as well, like most of the other popular packages we've already seen in this video. With NGX data table, you can build these great data tables based on your API responses. They also have a great documentation. They also have a dark theme. They have a bootstraps theme. You can get started by browsing through their documentation and simply going to the source, which is a great way to see how they implemented a certain behavior. Really, a lot of use cases for tables, filtering, sorting, pagination. Everything is included in this package. So if you want to present a lot of data, go check out NGX data table. Now we're moving into package number 12, and we kind of leave the things I have used. So basically everything that we've seen so far is used in one of my projects, or at least for a tutorial. The other 3-4 remaining packages are things that I think are very valuable and also that I want to try out in the near future. So number 1 is AnyMate. This is a simple wrapper around AnyMate CSS, and actually AnyMate CSS is something I have used in the past, and I already thought that there might be a way to do these things somehow easier. So AnyMate seems to be a great Angular wrapper which allows to use the cool animations. So if you haven't seen AnyMate CSS, it's basically like these things and applying these in CSS to your elements. So a lot of cool, easy animations that you could use. And now with AnyMate, you could actually use them right inside the Angular animations that you might have worked with in the past. So I think that is really great. You don't have to use any sort of dumb changes and applying CSS classes and removing them here and there. Now with AnyMate you could easily use everything from code, and I think I might actually write an article about this in the near future. Package number 13 is something I found highly interesting and with a lot of stars, and it's called NGX Formal. I know that people who work with API responses and a lot of forms in their applications struggle a bit with the reactive forms and how to implement and set up everything properly. So these seem to be, as it says, JSON powered or dynamic forms with Angular. It is actually an element that you can implement in your application. So if you take a look at the code here, let's see, you got this formally element in a form and basically define all the fields for this form from code once with a specific schematic or a specific schema for the formally field config. It might take a bit of time to get into this, and I also, from the first looks and reading a bit through the documentation, didn't get completely how it works. But given the fact that it's kind of popular, perhaps you already might know more about this. And I guess in the 25,000 subscribers, at least one person has used this package. So perhaps you could say a few words about this. And also, if you're interested in this, I might as well create a tutorial on this in the near future. Number 14 is a component I don't know why I haven't used it in the recent past, and it's Angular Google Maps. Whenever I use Google Maps, I just go with the standard Google Maps JavaScript SDK and somehow implement it with a div element and really ugly code. And I actually don't know why I haven't used the Angular Google Maps implementation yet. I will definitely do it in the very near future. The setup looks a lot more like how you expect Google Maps with Angular. Is there a demo somewhere? Yes, you can play with it on StackBlitz. So the code here, if you used Google Maps in the past with Angular, you will see you got now typings, you got the markers. The implementation for the HTML looks a lot nicer with all these effects in here. So if you want to implement Google Maps in your application, definitely check out Angular Google Maps. I will definitely use it as well in the near future. And now the final package, which is really something I have to get into, and I say this like for a year now, and that's NGX state management for Angular. With React, we've seen Redux. And for Angular, this is basically the package to use. There are different other state managements. I think Akita is also one of them, but NGRX is like the core and the most used thing across state management. If you've used state management, you will definitely want to use this. If you have small applications, I feel like implementing all of this is a bit too much, and you can have it in an easier way with just subjects. But if you have a complex application or you plan any kind of business application that's really huge, you definitely want to use a state management like this, and NGRX would be the recommended tool in my eyes. This is also on my list, so the last 3 or 4 elements are things that I definitely want to use, and I know they are great as well, so that's why I included them in this list. That's it for the 15 Angular components that I either enjoy, recommend, or love. If you have things that I left out that you think that are really important, please leave a comment below so we can kind of upload it or make it sticky so others can see it. Just leave your additions. Also, if you want to see a tutorial on one of these 15 packages that we haven't done in the past, please let me know. I definitely want to do something on state management. The formally looks great, Angular Google Maps. Just let me know and I will upvote it on my personal to-do list so I can create more great tutorials for you in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and stay subscribed so you get notified about all the new tutorials, quick wins, and other app development and web development videos on this channel. If you want to learn more about Ionic with in-depth courses, a community of like-minded developers so you can learn and build your apps faster, you should definitely check out the Ionic Academy, which is my code school to help you with everything Ionic, with a huge library of courses, material, and a supportive Slack channel so we can get your app out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you inside the next video. Have a great day and happy coding. Simon.